Hey, welcome or welcome back to Peace in the Mix with me, Portia Payton. I am so happy you are here. Let's just dive right in. Okay, so once I put out my previous video about building self-trust and just learning how to listen to our intuition, I was asked to discuss the difference between anxiety and intuition and how to tell the difference. So I wanted to make a video about that. If that is something that you're interested in, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and let's talk about it. Interestingly enough, I recently realized last year that I was somebody who had high functioning anxiety, meaning I was still handling all of my adult responsibilities like working, trying to maintain relationships, trying to keep my health in order, trying to work towards my dreams and figure out that aspect of my life and just basically living, right? But what I hadn't realized was how anxious I was, because when you're high functioning, you're just going, like you're going. It feels as though you cannot just stop and dwell on things. You have to just keep moving forward and going, right? So just to give you a bit of perspective, I worked in the medical industry for about 8 years. I was basically helping manage an urgent care, but because it wasn't a large facility, we only had a certain amount of employees working every single shift. And then once the pandemic came around, we had to cut hours and we became short-staffed. So I was doing a little bit of everything. And I'm helping manage, I'm working front office, which is greeting people, answering phones, replying to emails. I was basically the point of communication between the patient and the provider. So just imagine being in the front office and people are coming up to you like constantly walking in, but the phones are constantly ringing. And then you got all these other tasks. And on top of dealing with the energetic exchange of patients, like I still had to handle medical records and subpoenas and order medications, make sure we had all of our supplies in stock. So there was a lot that went into that position. I'm grateful for everything that I learned, but while working there, I was so focused on what I needed to be doing, like all the tasks at hand, that I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on with me internally because I had to work. Mind you, I still had a life outside of work. So I'm still in my 20s. I'm still going through what 20-something-year-olds go through. I'm still going through the toxic relationships. I'm still going through breakups. I'm still dealing with trying to accomplish my dreams outside of my day job. I'm still trying to figure out who I am, and still, there's just, life is still happening outside of work. But when you're in the medical industry and you're working like 12-hour shifts, you're pretty much physically and mentally exhausted at the end of the day because of all that energy exchange. But then you go home to the relationships that you're dealing with and all of these things. So with all of that going on, it didn't even slip my mind that I was an anxious person. But the physical symptoms that I can look back on now and realize that I had, constant churning feeling in the stomach, like those butterfly flutters, like I had that a lot, and I would feel it, but I would be like, just, you know, I didn't associate that with anxiety. The constant like heart beating, that was a recent one I noticed after I left my job, when I could hear my body a little more. And another physical sign of anxiety was the constant sweating. I knew that my body was having a reaction, but I still didn't associate it with being anxious. I don't know, maybe because I never really spoke to anybody about it, I just dealt with it. But there was a couple of things that made me realize that I was walking around with high functioning anxiety. After reading the book Not Nice that I spoke about, he talked about all of the physical symptoms he was experiencing. And I found that to be eye-opening for me, because I was like, oh my goodness, I'm experiencing some of these similar symptoms. I have high functioning anxiety, what? I just associated anxiety with panic attacks, straight up. But because I had never had a panic attack, I didn't think that I had anxiety. And then working in the medical industry, I saw a lot of patients that would come in suffering from anxiety. And I didn't feel like I was like that. I feel like I'm able to deal with life pretty well. I just didn't associate myself with anxiousness, because when I would see patients who were anxious, it was like more on the extreme end. I didn't realize that you could still be somebody who's high functioning, who appears great on the outside, who's showing up, doing what they need to do, handling their responsibilities, and still feel completely anxious inside. Like, I could trace back having being anxious even as a teen. I realized I was anxious for a very long time for various different reasons. Doesn't matter, but the point is I can now recognize, okay, that's what this is. So now I can self-soothe and deal with it accordingly instead of not really understanding that this is what's happening to me. So now that I know what it is, when it happens, I know how to self-soothe and bring myself back in balance. I would say anxiousness overall is just a feeling of just being fearful, lack of faith, feeling like there's like a sense of loss of control, and chronic overthinking. It's like you're overthinking because you're trying to gain some sort of control over the situation that you're worried about, but it develops into physical signs when you're just overthinking and your body is having a reaction to your thoughts. So that's how you know. So anxiety is more fear and worry based. There's no calmness. It's like the complete opposite. You don't feel safe in your body, and your body starts having a reaction to that. So I spoke about some of the symptoms that I noticed in myself, but somebody else might be experiencing different signs of anxiousness, like nausea, headaches, maybe some sort of other aches in your body, back pains or something like that. You could be also feeling restless, unable to sleep, like you might be having some sort of insomnia, faster breathing, and just an overall sense of danger, like something bad is gonna happen, or you're worried about an outcome happening the way that you don't want it to go. Okay, disclaimer really quick. I had to take a sip of my drink, but this is so good. So this is my go-to whenever I go to Starbucks. I always get the venti iced peach green tea. No lemonade, no sweetener, just water, but it's so good. Okay. So once I recognized I was anxious, then I started realizing, okay, I'm anxious. And then I could pinpoint exactly what I was thinking about that was making me anxious. So now the physical symptoms in my body were making sense. And then once I realized, oh, my body is trying to communicate with me that something is off, that whatever I'm thinking about is not helpful to me right now. It's telling me, hey, we're off balance here, we're off track. You're worried about something that you cannot control. So I'm gonna show you that you need to regroup and rebalance yourself by sweating, by heart palpitations, by shaking, by those fluttering feelings in your stomach. I'm trying to communicate with you that something is off right now and I need you to pay attention. I started looking at it like that. Like when my body starts having these reactions, it's trying to get me to pay attention because I'm off track with what I'm thinking about, completely off track. So my body is like, look, this is affecting us. Wake up, hello, 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 mayday, hello, stop. Think about something else. This isn't working, this isn't good for you, this isn't healthy for you, this isn't going to benefit you in any way if you keep going down this path of thinking like this. Hello? So I look at it like my body is trying to communicate with me versus having the symptoms show up and then like, now I'm more anxious because I have symptoms showing up. I'm like, what's going on with me? Why is my heart beating fast? Why am I sweating? Why am I feeling hot inside? Why can't I sleep? Why can't, like, instead of freaking out about the signs showing up, I'm like, okay, my body is trying to communicate with me that I am off track with my thinking. Let me get back on track. And so that's when the self-soothing process starts happening. I just talk myself out of it. Everybody is different, but I mentioned in my previous videos, journaling helps a lot. Get those thoughts out. Get whatever you're worried about out on paper, crumple it up, throw it away, but get it out of your body onto the page. Get it, like, you gotta figure out how to release energy. Go for walks, go outside, be more in the sunlight. If you can't be in the sunlight, still try to go outside and take in some fresh air. Do anything to get yourself out of that rut of whatever you're worried about. And another thing that worked for me was just breathing, taking a breath. Like, okay, I'm feeling anxious, let me take a couple breaths. And just, I'm sure there's breathing exercises out there that you can find that will help. And there's all types of other ways that you can get yourself back in balance. I am in no way a professional, a licensed professional. I don't know all of the tips and tricks to help with anxiety. I just know that I personally self-soothe by reminding myself it's okay. What I'm feeling is okay. Recognizing, okay, what I'm thinking about is not helping me right now. Let me try to focus on something else. Another big thing that I incorporated that has really helped keep my stress levels low and has really prevented me from being super anxious like I used to was taking probiotics. because it's good bacteria that's gonna fight out all that bad bacteria, and it's gonna get your stomach back in balance. And if you're taking it consistently, then you're gonna notice that it's working if you no longer have trouble sleeping, if you're regular with your bowel movements, if you are no longer feeling those fluttering feelings in your stomach anymore. And also, it's gonna improve your mood. It's gonna help with your brain health. The gut and the mind are connected. So if your gut is pretty clean and in balance, your mental health is gonna be way better. To keep your gut clean, not only taking probiotics, but staying hydrated, and also eating more fruits and vegetables, incorporating that and cutting out fast food, because there's no nutritional value. So there's no vitamins, there's no minerals, there's no anything essential in there except that it's tasty. Whatever crap they're putting in that food, your body is absorbing it, your gut is absorbing it, and then it's no surprise that you are starting to feel more anxious. It's no surprise that you're maybe feeling more depressed, that you cannot function, you might have brain fog. So cleaning up what you're eating and consuming and keeping yourself hydrated, it's gonna help with your hormonal balance and your mental health. It all goes hand in hand. So find some good probiotics. I recommend, I mean, it's a game changer. It's helped me out drastically. I no longer have those feelings of constant butterfly flutters. I'm no longer sweating crazy. I'm no longer having irregular heartbeats, like it's speeding up, like I'm not feeling that anymore. And it also could be that I'm also incorporating omega-3 fatty acids. That also helps with heart health. I also recommend vitamin D. Get you some vitamin D, stay consistent with vitamin D, stay consistent with all of that. Probiotics, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D. And then eat good and exercise, and you will see that it does make a difference with your mental health and feeling anxious. Like I said, anxiousness is rooted in fear and feeling like you're losing control, like feeling like you're in danger, things like that. So when you're getting thoughts from that space, that is not coming from your intuition. That's coming from a different place. When you are getting information from your intuition, it's this knowingness that cannot be explained. You don't know how you know certain things. It just pops up in your mind, and it's like, it feels like a direction, or it feels like safe guidance. It's like this calm feeling, this calm messaging that you pick up on, and it's guiding you and telling you things, and it feels right. When it's coming from your intuition, it's not a feeling of anxiousness, it's not a feeling of fear, it's not a feeling of overthinking. When it's coming from your intuition, that's it, knowingness. You may not understand how you know, and you might develop anxiousness once you realize you made a decision coming from your intuition, because you may not understand how you know this information, so you start second guessing it. Then anxiety can develop when you're like, oh, did I make the right decision? And that's why in my previous video, I talked about getting used to listening to your intuition, just getting used to making decisions on your own so that you can understand when something is coming from your intuition and when something is not. And building that confidence in listening to your intuition, because if you're not used to listening to it, of course you might feel anxious after you get a message from your intuition, follow through with that, and then wonder if you're making the wrong choice because you're not sure, because now the self-doubt is coming in because you don't trust yourself yet. You gotta start working towards trusting yourself. And then your intuition just becomes louder and louder and more clear, and you won't second guess it. Messages from intuition and then thoughts stemming from anxiety are two totally different feelings. They're two totally different energies. Like, anxious thoughts are heavier. Messages from your intuition are light, calm, safe. It's just stable. It's a stable knowingness. I encourage you, if you haven't, go back and watch my last video about how to build self-trust, about how to start being able to hear and discern when guidance is coming from your intuition, versus now that we talked about this, you can kind of understand the difference when, okay, something's coming from anxiety versus something is coming from guidance, inner knowingness, that inner wisdom. I'm pretty sure if you really think about it, you can pinpoint a time where you made a decision based on the guidance from that inner wisdom, and you don't even know how you knew it, but you just did it, and you reaped the benefits of whatever that choice was, regardless of how it looks to other people. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, or if you wanna add some input on this topic, please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. If you have not already, please give this video a thumbs up if anything that I said resonated with you. Cannot wait to see you in the next video. Until then, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you in the next video.